Welcome to our global OWASP Top 10 for Agentic Applications kickoff. It's a really historic occasion. We have 4 different groups today joining us. The first one clearly here in London. And then the next one is in Athens. Kostas, how's things in Athens?
Hello. Yes, we're very excited to be with you.
Excellent. And then we have the team in Israel. Idan, lead there in Tel Aviv. How are things there? What have you been up to?
Hey, John, can you hear us?
Yes, we can, Idan.
Yeah, fantastic. We are all very excited, looking forward to see the draft. Everyone are now sitting down and expecting to hear you out. Back to you.
Excellent. And Karen, how are things in Las Vegas? It's a bit early for you guys there.
Can you hear us, John?
Yes, we can, Karen.
Perfect.
Good morning.
Hi. For us, it's a morning. We're happy to be here with you.
Excellent. So our agenda today, welcome all of you. Our agenda today is to introduce the Agentic Security Initiative, who's hosting this event, talk a little bit about what we do, preview the top 10 for agentic applications, and really the main point of this is explain how you, all of you, whether you're in London, in Athens, in Tel Aviv, or in Las Vegas, or on the web, on YouTube, can be part of this exciting journey. The Agentic Security Initiative is part of the Generative AI Security Project. Most of you will know this project as the top 10 for LLM applications, something that Steve Wilson started. Was it 2 years ago, Steve?
Little bit more than 2 years ago. Yeah, it's amazing to think.
That's when we met. And so that became viral, adopted by everyone. So we kind of expanded the project, and it's instead of one project, we have multiple mini projects, one of which is the Agentic Security Initiative. You can see the details, we'll have them at the end again. And our focus is to say, well, how can we complement generative AI security with the specific threats and mitigations for agentic AI? And you can see the link at the end, at the bottom of the screen. We are a community of volunteers, very, very active group, hundreds of people on Slack and the various documents, but we couldn't have done our work without a distinguished expert panel. And that's an interesting take we take on community. We believe both experts and community have a complementary role to play. So we have created a board of quite well-known people that help us make sure that what we produce has diligence and has quality. And I'll ask them all to go quickly through the table and introduce themselves and tell us a little bit kind of what they think is important about today in Agentic AI. And I'll start with Apostol Vassilev. Apostol?
Thank you, John. Good morning, everyone. I'm Apostol Vassilev, and I lead the Adversarial AI effort at NIST. The pace of technological progress in AI is unprecedented, and the community of stakeholders desperately need guidance on how to responsibly adopt this game-changing technology to maximize the benefits and minimize the downsides. OWASP is a great place for this. The community has been able to develop timely and high-quality standards for AI, and I have the privilege to work alongside a group of exceptional professionals on the review board. My areas of interest cover the Agentic Threat and Mitigations document and the AI Vulnerability Scoring System. The latter is a critical step towards quantification of AI risk, which enables effective risk management and thus fosters a responsible adoption of the technology. Back to you, John.
Thank you, Apostol. Hyrum?
Greetings, John. I'm sitting here in the airport on my way to Black Cat in Las Vegas. And so delighted to serve on the review board for the OWASP committee. One of the things I feel really strongly about is that we're defining a new way that software is being manifested. So software is changing because of AI, and because of that, security is changing a little bit, and we're bringing the best practices of traditional software and adding those wrinkles that are present because of the presence of AI. And as we're doing this, there's no better community than OWASP to get this work done. So grateful to work with the other experts on this board and with the community to get this work pushed forward. Back to you, John.
Thank you, Hyrum. We're very grateful to you too, and safe flight later on. My next expert here is London-based. I'll pass the microphone to Mavroudis.
Yeah, thank you, John. So as we discussed internally earlier, I think it's a pretty important initiative, especially because I think it will kind of help reinforce the idea that, yes, AI security is important, but is not entirely exotic. So existing techniques do apply, and we can make a lot of progress just by being diligent and following proper best practices and proper procedures.
Hey folks, yeah, so I'm Josh and I run an AI security team at the Turing. To echo kind of the thoughts of the folks that preceded me, I think the OWASP top 10 in particular is going to be a really good kind of way of standardizing how people communicate about this stuff. And hopefully off the back of it, people can then start adopting it for tooling, for research, etc., which should be a great thing.
Thank you. And then I'll go to Alejandro. Alejandro, can you hear us?
Yep. Thank you very much, John. So my name is Alejandro. I am director at Zalando. I am also AI expert at the UN and currently leading also a data governance workstream within the UN as well. So yeah, I think as John, you mentioned, this is quite an exciting time to be involved in the agentic security space. I think from my perspective, the call out is that OWASP is best positioned in order to go beyond the hype. There's a lot of noise that is happening across the board. And there's a lot of opportunities for us to be able to define and identify some opportunities that allow us to actually develop the discourse in this space. So John, been really great collaborating so far, and I look forward to the many more successes, hopefully.
Thank you, Alejandro. Thank you. And Chris, are you on the line? Chris Hughes? Okay, maybe we don't have Chris. We'll come back to him later. What about Michael? Why don't I go then to someone I can see there? Igor, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, everybody. I'm Igor Pushkin. I'm Chief Architect of Data and AI at Oracle Cloud. I come with a background in enterprise software architecture and machine learning. At Oracle, we recognize that the importance of security, it's not just by far not just a checkbox, it's foundation of trust in enterprise systems, whether it's financial platforms, government infrastructure, or healthcare systems managing sensitive patient data. Security is mission critical for all of those environments, and getting it wrong is not just a technical debt, it's human impact, regulatory risk, and huge reputational damage. That's why the initiatives like OWASP Gen AI and Agentic, they're beyond important. They're essential. I'm very, very happy to be here.
Thank you, Igor. And let's move to Matt Sane. Hi, Matt.
Hey, everybody. Thank you. My name is Matt Stainer. I lead security specialists for many of our global largest customers at AWS. And as part of this journey, multi-year journey, I work with Steve and John and others to understand what are the
check 1 2
can come together, collaborate. And I hear some background noise. I'm not sure.
Check 1 2 3.
Someone, yes, whoever.
Check 1 2
mute someone.
Check 1 2 3. Like, whoa.
I don't know who that is. But that's what happens with,
definitely works though.
He's from the Adversarial in Vegas.
Live systems. You know, kind of it works. That.
All right. Well, anyway, long story short, glad to be here. You know, we think it's really important that providers, hyperscalers, model providers, and security, the security community as a whole comes together to try to address emerging challenges. So thank you, John.
There is an interesting test going on in the background. Let's try and ignore it. I don't know if it's something you can do there, Sam. And by the way, Sam is from the local chapter and is helping us today live stream this to the world. So we'll figure out. Let's just ignore it a little bit. That's what's happening there. Let's go to the next person. Steve, why don't we go to you?
All right. So this is really exciting. I mean, as John mentioned, we kicked off this project in the spring of 2023. It was just a few months after ChatGPT came out. And I think one of the things that made the original list popular was we stretched ourselves a bit. And at the time, it was controversial adding vulnerabilities to the list like excessive agency and over-reliance that didn't seem like matches with traditional cybersecurity threats, but I think we knew it was going this way. But at the time, things were still mostly chatbots, and the idea that people would build such agents as they do today was kind of crazy. And when I go out and I talk to CISOs today, CISOs have always been worried about insider threats, and they've been worried about employees that are malicious or negligent or compromised. Now they're all coming to grips with the fact that they are really pushing real agents into production in software development, in customer service, in marketing, in sales, like for real. And now you've got to worry about agents as your new insider threats. Are they malfunctioning? Are they misaligned? Have they been subverted? And I think the opportunity with the new top 10 here is to define that shared language about how we talk about what it means to really secure your agents, and define the path forward for years to come. So it's really exciting, and thanks to John and the team for organizing this. Great job.
Thank you, Steve. And I'm sure you mentioned that Steve is the chair of the project and founder of the top 10 for LMs, and a big kind of source of energy for all of us there. I can't see any of my list. Okay, I have Dan here. Do you want to introduce yourself, Dan?
I thought you forgot about me, John. Yeah, no, I'm very excited to be here today. I think we were talking a bit about it in the room before we kicked off officially. But tooling is a really important thing, a really important part of this. And John and I also gave a talk earlier this morning about how research can be a really important factor. And I think as a researcher, it's really important for me and generally researchers that want to bring impact into the world to communicate it in a way that is tangible, and giving people the ability to understand what all these intricate details are, where the vulnerabilities came from, but in a way that is grounded. And anybody with any experience within the community, like OWASP community is a wonderful example of it, can sort of just jump in and play around and really understand a bit more what we're talking about and why it's important.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you all of you on our expert review board. I think it's an amazing combination of expertise and volunteers on the ground. I want to thank Chris, I want to thank Michael, Pete, everyone who couldn't join today. And they have been really instrumental in helping us move forward and review our documents and contribute. And we have done quite a lot of stuff. We have built a lot of stuff. Don't you think, Karen? Karen, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me? Now you can see me.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can,
Perfect.
Karen.
So the community here in Vegas asks me, the OWASP initiative always publish some great stuff, but where do I begin? So let's talk about it once and for all. So we started with the threats and mitigation, and I see Helen over here who's been leading these efforts. And then the threat and mitigation came out because how can you threat model AI threats with the usual models that we had, right? It was super weird and super hard to do so. So we created that guide for you to use. And then we moved to talk about multi-agentic system threat modeling, because if to model agentic AI was hard, think about multi-agentic system, harder. And then we moved to the Securing Agentic Applications guide, was published, I think it was last week, and it was one of our most shared posts in LinkedIn. It came out for a huge traffic. And actually today, we've been publishing the State of Agentic AI Security and Governance. Yes, have some good time here. I see Rock and Kyla and Evgeny in the Zoom and many amazing friends who made this possible. So yeah, now we're here talking about kicking off the top 10 for Agentic AI. And it's not only that.
Sorry, Karen, carry on.
No, if you can move forward, it's not only that, because it's not only we being writing papers and talking about it and thinking about it in our office. We also have some huge feedback thanks to all of you. We've been participating in our events and in the hackathon, which Ali is organizing as well. Another one here at DEF CON, so you're all invited. But the feedback from the community really made it possible and really made the difference in here. And that's why our community is so, so strong.
And I think, Karen, that's a great point. Thank you. I think by not simply publishing documents and doing the code work and doing the samples, for every thread that we have in the threat mitigation, you can find the sample, and that's a repository that Alice so diligently maintains. We started with Alice and Secure Agent Hackathon in New York with hundreds of people. Now we having the Agentic CTF application FinBot that we're launching on the DEF CON hackathon. So quite a lot of activity there, and I feel quite jealous actually. I'm not going to be to DEF CON to use this, but I'll start using it when it becomes available. And we saw as part of the hackathons actually quite a few tools starting supporting the threats and mitigations. We saw quite a lot of adoption within the products. Is that right, Scott?
Yeah, that's right. We've so just a quick intro. So I also co-chair the project with Steve. And this great team here. One of the things we've been doing is we've been not only just starting with the top 10 as we did with the first top 10, we also connected it to solutions.
Scott, we're struggling to hear you. Could you go close to the microphone if you could? Because you have important things.
Can you hear me better?
Yes, much better. Thank you.
There we go. Okay, so as we did with the first top 10 for LLM, one of the things we wanted to do is connect solutions to the risks, so that people had a way to connect that together. We launched a solutions landscape as part of that, and as part of that measure, we looked at what solutions are now addressing the agentic use case. So we're going to start to roll out, actually gets published tomorrow, will be the agentic solutions landscape. As part of the data that we've collected, we've also looked and seen that even with the original threats and mitigations guide, we have over 18 solutions who have actually implemented it into their products as a way for organizations to measure their risk profile. We're also collecting that data, help us inform how and where solutions are covering the specific risks and mitigations. So as you can see on the chart there, we do have coverage across most of them. And this also helps us understand where organizations and companies are coming together to help cross these risks. So this is an area that we're going to continue to see both more evolution into new products, and also we'll continue to collect more data. This is going to help us become a more data-centric approach to how we measure and how we start to build out the top 10 list and prioritize.
And that's, thank you, Scott. That's really, and Scott has been driving that as a co-chair. He's also working on the landscape initiative, and you can go there and see the solutions landscape document where you will find all these tools. Really great though to see 18 solutions already supporting our taxonomy. I want also to thank AI and me who are hosting they implemented that and they're hosting the event in Athens, so thank you. And also, thank Kanos and Tenable for hosting our events. And it wasn't just, that's the interesting thing, it isn't just the products that implement that. We see that adopting across organizations. We see it in one of the reports done, you were part of that, the taxonomy of failure modes in agentic AI systems, referencing us and opening that conversation with us. We've seen it on the Oxford University. You can't see it very clearly there, but Christian and Claudia, if you're on the call, thank you very much. A whole research paper on a kind of mitigations, highly recommend to read. We'll treat it as a expert submission. SAP implemented that as part of their threat modeling, and we at Kainos, of course, we've been using it to secure our systems and also make security part of what we do on everyday life. And I have someone here with me, Charlene, who's the product manager of a product that won an award, that when we started our conversation, you were a little bit apprehensive, weren't you, Charlene? Do you want to say a couple of things?
I can, yes, I can. So John's talking about Kainos Studio. So it's an AI-powered suite of products and approaches that accelerate digital transformation. Like any product person, I'm impatient and don't want anything that's going to delay things. John reassured me that obviously none of this would. So we've worked really closely together. The OWASP guidelines have really helped to make sure that everything we're doing is secure by default from the start. Not an afterthought, and that helps me to reassure our stakeholders, our customers. I work with clients a lot as well, so a lot of what I do is about advocating for security and making sure that it's not an afterthought and that it won't slow down innovation. So yeah, that's key.
Thank you, Charlene. And I want Charlene to say that because, you know, very often we think about our security people, our guidelines as for the profession itself, ourselves. But in reality, and that's what the Agentic Security Initiative and the Generative AI project at large has done, is to enable many people beyond. And we have many other documents that support that, like the checklist, the compass that Sandy Dan is producing. But what I'm trying to say here is that what we have done all the way to the top 10 is to engage with people. And you can see some of the surveys that Helen Oakley, the lead for the threats and mitigation, ran, the open workspace we did, some of the panels, so actively engaging with everyone to get feedback on threats and mitigations and getting the feedback from adoption. But you know, the world never stops still. And Ron, would you like to tell us a little bit some of the things that keep us up at night and how to update the work that we do? And Ron is my co-lead for the initiative, by the way.
Thanks, John. I'm Ron. I work for SAP. I'm VP and head of AI security for SAP AISVS. I co-lead the Agentic Security Initiative with John. And like every cybersecurity professional, we're easily distracted by shiny new things, shiny new toys, right? And in the agentic world, some of the shiny new toys that we're navigating with are agentic protocols, right? So we're seeing the steady rise of dedicated agentic protocols like MCP, A2A, and ACP. But when you look at the specs, security is not part of the design, right? As an example, A2A just recently, Google just released, just pushed an update for signing agent cards, right? MCP, it took them like a week or two or a month before they added the authorization layer. So these are modern protocols for agents, but we still need to consider security, right? So, and aside from that, we're also considering the rise of distributed multi-agent systems, right? We're no longer dealing with single agentic systems. We have multiple agents talking to each other, and we need to consider how we secure that architecture. And of course, supply chain complexity. And agents are adding a new layer of complexity when it comes to supply chain vulnerabilities, right? And then we're also taking into consideration recent reports like top AI security incidents, exploits specific to agents, right? And we're making sure all these new findings are inserted in our documentation and in guidance, right? And if you can go to the next slide, John. This is what I'm talking about. These are the foundational documents that we released, and we're making sure it's constantly updating it. And how do we make it up to date, right? We're focusing. We do a lot of agentic security research, and Ali, she runs a lot of hackathons. The first ever hackathon was successful hackathon was in New York City, and we have another one coming in this DEF CON. And then all the learnings that we get from those hackathons and research, we make sure we feed it directly to our guidance and documentation, right? And but the keywords here is we're not being too theoretical or academic. We want our documentation to be practical and actionable, right? Because at the end of the day, our audience are developers, software architects, and security engineers. We want something that we can release tomorrow that can immediately help them secure AI systems in their enterprise. Back to you, John.
Thank you, Ron. And Ron is brilliant in bringing some of the best research people to help us and put that kind of context of, yes, research on one hand and practical guidelines on the other hand. And so you may wonder, if you have all this great stuff, why do you on earth do you want to release a top 10? Why is the urge here? And I think, it's very simple. We have gone through a journey where people were saying, oh, what's this agentic stuff? Everything is an agent. So deliberately, we created all the documents that you need to go there. And that's really, really important to have those details that you need to understand it in detail. But if you take them all together, the 270 pages and even more. And I don't know about you, I don't have all the time in the world to read. So there will be times where I need to go into the details and find out the specific mitigation, the sandboxing, all the things that we talk about. But if I'm starting my journey, I want something really concrete. I want the compass, especially as we see again and again on the graph that I put there from Wiz, company acquired from Google, that the biggest obstacle at the moment, and that's why I was asking you earlier on the in-person event, how you start, is the lack of AI security expertise. So when you have all these things together, we think the top 10 becomes a compass that helps you start your journey. It's a navigator, it helps you kind of move forward and then dive into our documents that we will keep up to date as you move forward. Helen, do you want to, this is the threat taxonomy is your baby. So do you want to take us a little bit through how we started drafting the draft top 10?
Yeah, thank you, John. So since we released our threat and mitigations guide, Agentic AI threat and mitigations guide, we had huge success. We received a lot of feedback. So we collected feedback on adoption, on content, and then we started to think, how do we put them together? And by the way, this afternoon...
Helen, sorry to stop you there. We cannot hear you very well from Vegas. If you could just close the karaoke level, the microphone, that should do the trick. Karaoke distance, rather.
Let's try again. Hello?
Much better. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, since we released the Agentic AI Threats and Mitigations Guide, we had a huge success in terms of feedback and adoption. So we collected adoption feedback and content feedback, and we started to think, how we're going to put it all together. And this afternoon, by the way, I'll go into a little deeper what comes next in our next update of the guide. And next slide.
Yep.
So we have all these 15 threats, and by the way, top 10 also includes the new that going to be as part of the update guide threats and some updates as well. We decided to go with the grouping because we want to preserve our taxonomy and continue evolve that so that we can still have common groups of top 10, but collect and enrich taxonomy going forward into deep description of our threats and mitigations. And with that, we can move to the next.
Oops, we're revealing things.
And here, I will pass over back to John, showcasing our draft.
I was going to build a little bit of a moment, kind of noise there, but that's okay. So I think, what Helen suggested, described there, is the approach that we've taken. We didn't start from scratch. I remember how we started, Steve, with the top 10 for LLMs, trying to think, if you remember, what is there. Whereas now we have a baseline to start. So we thought, without precluding people from adding new entries, let's consolidate what we have. So we went through that exercise that Helen described, and this is what we are unveiling today, is the draft. It's the public draft that we're bringing out. It's not the release. It's not something that you can take and say, hey, this is the top 10. It's a draft that allows us to frame the conversation, that groups all the threats that we have in our baseline taxonomy. You can carry on using that. You don't have to jump to the top 10, even when it comes out. There are two different levels. This is about importance, it's about focus, it's about categorization, whereas the threat taxonomy will have more than 10. You can still kind of expand into that. And we had several conversations until actually early this morning. And we will carry on having those conversations, but the consensus for now is the agent behavior hijacked. We try different terms there. And that is really, if you think about prompt injections for LLMs, if you think about, discovering what the chain of thoughts for a model is, but in an agentic behavior, it becomes a more kind of multi-step experience. It isn't just a simple prompt injection. So you need to understand those risks, and you need to provide different mitigations going beyond the simple guardrails and the things that we have for prompt injection. So coming from the outside, hijacking and influencing the goals and making the agent doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And we saw some of those exploits. We mentioned some of the exploits earlier on. Tool misuse and exploitation, something that everyone is now familiar. You've seen what has happened, with some of the Replit, what has happened with Amazon Hughes. So if you use a tool to do things, it's, if you haven't secured it, people can actually, attackers can take over and misuse it, or you could accidentally yourself misuse it, or have permissions to the tool that you shouldn't have. So that's a key one. Talking about permissions, and this is a very hot discussion within our initiative. So obviously, the guys earlier on the in-person said the fundamentals matter. Access, permissions, they are important, whatever you use. But in agentic security and threats, you have a more complicated issues to think about: the identity of the agent, have you given permissions that actually they can be misused. And again, in our documents, in the top 10, you will find attack scenarios. Then the other one, that actually a new entry, we didn't have it in the threats and mitigations, we added it now, is agentic supply chain vulnerabilities. This isn't to actually say, oh, let's talk about supply chain because we have a software system, but it's looking of what are the specific aspects of agentic security that could bring vulnerabilities. Ron talked about distributed agents. Can you imagine that your agent reads a model card and starts talking to an agent somewhere in a different organization? That actually makes supply chain much, much more complex. And we see things like even tools to secure that, like agent cards. We saw a research exploit where people exploited that. Unexpected code execution, again, we debated whether that should be part of tool misuse, but we see it happening again and again, and people thought it's important to include. It's one of the most common exploits and vulnerabilities that we see. Memory and context poisoning is something that expands the attack surface for agentic AI. Agents now have local memory that someone can exploit and misguide. With distributed agents, with MCP and all these protocols, obviously the communication, regardless of what the protocol is, that protocol can be, that communication can be abused, can be exploited. And similarly, in the LLM world, you have hallucinations, you have different failures. Now you have you have dozens of agents working together. How do you make sure that you have a handle on that? For us, that's a risk and a threat that we want to discuss and explore more with all of you, the entire community. Human agent trust exploitation is something that came up in many conversations. We trust so much those co-pilots and agents that an attacker can exploit. But even, kind of as part of the system itself, we have in threat and mitigations a threat that we grouped in here that's called deceptive and misaligned behavior. If you have an agent that you say, well, your biggest goal is availability, then that agent will take it to the next level and start lying to you or saving its weights, like it happened in OpenAI, or in Anthropic has released very good research there, where in a simulation and testing, the agent, when the executive tried to say, well, I'll shut you down, went through all the emails and tried to do the effectively blackmail the executive. So this is not, we need to move away from that, Terminator style of kind of misaligned and deceptive behavior. It's just where, things go if you emphasize a single objective. And finally, rogue agents. That's something that is a little bit borderline with supply agency. But what happens, how do you make sure that your multi-agentic systems, you have agents that you trust? how do you make sure that you have the roots of trust, the identity? How do you make sure that an agent that's compromised doesn't take over or deceive the entire system? So those are the top 10s for the agentic applications. The first public draft. It's something that we want to use it to have a conversation with you and also to encourage you. This is not an exhaustive list. We encourage you all to contribute and submit your own entries. But that was where the conversation with our threats and mitigations led us to the first draft. And this is let's have an example of what, if you're planning to do we have a standard template that people use. So let me just show you an example, and this is, you're seeing some of the early things. So this is what the top 10 list that you saw there is backed by a more detailed, and that's the standard template we use on top 10 for LLMs, and that's one that we want to use here. It gives you a good description. You can see also how it discusses how it differs from existing threats and mitigations and other entries. And it also talks about how it relates to the LLM top 10. And if you are going to make an entry, and we do that for all the other entries, please relate to that, because to us it's really important to make sure that we give consistent guidelines to the developers and security professionals. We always have common examples of risks that describe, sorry, Dan, it's kind of the screen there, and the prevention and mitigation strategies, and then example attack scenarios, and lots of references. And the reason I'm showing you this is the headlines of the top 10 are great, allowing you to understand where we're going, but also we have an individual entry that describes everything, and we really would like all of you to submit your entries or use pull requests to provide modifications. But this is the kind of level of detail we'd like to see. We don't want, some kind of theoretical abstract discussion about something. That's interesting to happen too. But when we talk about entries, this is the kind of an example entry that you will see, and we would like you to submit. What happens now? Oh, sorry, I need to go back to my slide deck. Apologies. And so what's next? So that's the headlines. That's what we think is our public draft of the top 10. The details where you can find them in the GitHub repository. So we're here on the global kickoff today, reviewing it, starting this journey, all the way now to end of October. We will have a public consultation. It will be a set of planned activities where you can go and do your submissions, and we really encourage that, or the modifications, that will set up a working group per entry, and we will try and do alignment reviews. Apostol mentioned the AISVS OWASP project that does the scoring, and they already have a core agentic kind of risks, so we want to align. Christian was here. The Oxford University paper that I mentioned, that specifically suggests things for threats and mitigation. So we'll work on the new submissions. We'll review all the entries that we have with workshops. We'll align with whatever exists out there, and we will continue to look at real data. The project already has an incident response page. If you come across something that you don't see us having it, please report it to us. We want to make it kind of part of research. And finally, from time to time, we ask for opinions via surveys, and we ask people to vote in a consultative manner of whether the rank is the correct one. And so we'd love to see you as part of that. To do all those things, we have set Ali a few things here. And Ali is a code samples guru and developer engagement person. Ali, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Close the microphone, karaoke distance, and blast.
Perfect, awesome. Thank you, John. Yeah, I'm super excited to be involved with the code samples here at OWASP and also developer engagement. It's really exciting to take all of the important documentation and efforts that we've created and put them into practical use and help them to engage with the community. Some of the most practical and important work, I think, comes out of that. And so we've had some amazing code samples so far from past hackathons and events that we've done, mostly aimed at creating samples that exhibit the top 10 for LLMs. But now that we have this new top 10 specifically for agents, I'd be so excited to have you all join our initiative, join our Slack channel, tell us how you're seeing these threats being exhibit in normal everyday life. That would be fantastic. And if you have a code sample of how these top 10 for agents actually exist in your code base in the real world, please submit that to our GitHub repo, and we can turn that into examples for other people to practically know how to prevent this, how to use it, what this looks like, especially across different frameworks, different languages, different technologies. New ones come out all the time. So the more examples, the better. I would so love for you to participate in that way. If you've got any questions, please let me know. Happy to engage with you and see what you're working on. Also, if you would like to be part of a working group and be part of our surveys, votes, get involved in how to shape the Agentic Top 10, please fill out this Google form, and we will contact you about more information about that. We also have a link to our GitHub. You can see these QR codes for your use. There's the Slack link as well. The only other call out I have is we've got this hackathon coming up at DEF CON on Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Would love to see you there. We're going to create insecure agents together. These hackathons are really fun because we've got some people that have never built an agent before and others that have shipped them into production. And a lot of times, one of the key takeaways from those events is people are shocked at how easy it is to really create an insecure agent. So I would love to see you there for that.
Thank you very much, Ali. We missed a little bit of that, the microphone's there. But just to reiterate, so Ali and the team do a fantastic job on collecting samples. You will see more and more around the top 10, but there are many different ways. And if you're watching it from YouTube, either now or later on, use the QR codes and the links to engage with us. There are 3 different ways of doing it. If you haven't been familiar with Slack channels and all the nice things that we use, and we want you to try it, there is a simple form. I put there the QR code. We put there the QR code that you can start it really super simple and say, these are the things, the skills that I bring and the areas of interest, and this is where I would like to help. Super simple to connect with us. If you've already used GitHub and you know your work around, please, please, please go and say, you know, what we saw today isn't enough. We want more. We want different things. Go and do your pull request. There is a template there. You can find out in that URL and the QR code. And of course, we want you to be part of our team. We want you to be part of our family. I cannot explain how enjoyable it is to work with all the guys that you've heard today on this call. So if you go to our website there, and you can find the initiative there, the QR code. You can find the Slack channel and how to join us. We run, you know, we can't have enough of each other, so we run a weekly call every Monday, and selfishly I put the UK time, which is 5:30 p.m. So it's 9:30 a.m. PS time. PST. It's a Zoom call. The details are again on that page. Please join us and be part of this journey and be part of that plan that I described, where from next week, we already have someone on Slack channel that made a pull request on IIM permission. So we will start reviewing that. Come and join us and come and say, hey, you know, we have this. And at OWASP, we don't hold back. You know, we discuss things. So come and tell us your views, but, you know, with kind of respect for each other. So that's what we want to do with this kickoff. We want everyone to be part of this conversation. And here is again the QR to the code. So we finished earlier than I thought, actually. Any comments? I'll start from some of the people that I see on the screen. Steve, any concluding comments from you?
It's just really exciting to see this. I think the groundwork that you all have laid for this is going to be amazing. I love seeing it follow the process that we followed on the original LLM. The O.5 list here looks like a really strong start. So I think this is going to be a blast, and I can already feel the momentum building behind it. So go do it.
Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, we've learned a lot from the top 10 for LLM. You know, a lot of things that we figured out there. I will go to Athens. Anything, Kostas and everyone else? Anything from there? Any comments?
We really need to stop this call because we have a lot of work to do with the top 10. We just covered the top 10. We need straight away to start working on this. So can we finish 1 minute earlier, please?
Okay, okay, you start implementing, but wait for the final top 10.
You gave us a lot of work already.
But wait until the final. Don't start implementing just yet. What about Idan? Tel Aviv, are you still on the call?
Yes, yes, we are on the call. Can you hear us?
Yes, we can.
Anyone want to share some comments? Well, just myself. John, I think we had the opportunity over the past months to build rich collective knowledge base and distilling all this knowledge into an accurate but short top 10 list is the best way to steer the community to the right direction, and we are all very excited. I believe that most of us will contribute at the rest of the week. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Yes. And that's a conversation that needs to carry on. We started, for those of us who are on the other side of the Atlantic, we started that conversation earlier, whereas you guys in Las Vegas, you're starting now. Scott, any comments, or Ali, anyone?
Well, I think that we've got a great group here, and I think that getting everybody together has been an awesome opportunity to educate everybody and help them get engaged in what we're doing. So I think we're going to continue the conversation after we wrap things up here, just here with the folks who have shown up. And then just for those who are still in Las Vegas, so this is a selfish plug, at 3 p.m. we'll be getting folks together to drill down in more detail. Here, the same room. So if you're in Las Vegas, come on back around 3. And then we've got beer after that. Oh no, I'm promoting. Sorry.
That's okay.
We'll also be showing real companies incidents, so it's gonna be super interesting.
Yes.
Fantastic. And we're all very jealous now. Right. Those of you watching on YouTube, we will go through any questions and comments and we will reply. You are a very important part of this conversation. We don't want you to feel left out. We just needed to make sure, everything is manageable. But yeah, this is it. Thank you all for attending the global kickoff today. The real work starts now. Let's own the narrative. Let's work together to create something that brings the excellence of research that this project gets from many people with actionable, practical security advice. Thank you very much. See you guys. Enjoy Las Vegas. Enjoy Black Hat and DEF CON. I'm very jealous.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Bye.